In Matthew chapter 7, Jesus says that you'll know them by their fruit. Now, in the context, he is talking about false prophets, but the same thing is true about teaching. James says it another way. It says that wisdom is justified by her children. You can recognize the wisdom of something by what naturally happens when it plays itself out. Where this becomes very important is paying attention to what happens in your heart and in your mind when you're listening to teaching. Any teaching that does not lead to good fruit is something that you don't need to pay attention to. I remember being handed a book about deliverance, and I was told, well, make sure you don't read this at night. And my immediate thought is, if it would put fear in me so that I shouldn't read it at night, I don't think I should read it at all. What's the fruit that it's producing? Now, when you're discerning the fruit, one of the things you have to pay attention to is what's going on in your own heart. Is it creating fear because of an issue that you have, or is it creating fear because of the teaching itself? That's something you have to pay attention to, because if you have anxiety over finances and someone begins to talk about generosity and you have something rise up in your heart and there's fear, that's not bad fruit. That's called conviction. That is good fruit, even though it doesn't feel good in the moment. And so pay attention. Does it draw you closer to Jesus, and does it draw you closer to the truth? Where this comes in, I had a young lady that had contacted me and asked me, I've heard this teaching about the end times and Jesus coming back, and I'm just full of fear. I'm anxious about what's going on. And I said, well, the teaching probably wasn't balanced. Maybe it was good. Maybe there was some accurate things that there was there, but it wasn't balanced because of the fruit that it produces. So pay attention to teaching. What's the fruit that it produces in you? And let's take this one more step. Pay attention to the fruit of the thought processes that you allow in your head. Because it's not just what other people put in your head that you have to pay attention to the fruit of. It's what you put in your head that you have to pay attention to the fruit of. If you realize that when you begin thinking about a certain thing or in a certain way, that it produces bad fruit, it produces fear, it produces anxiety, it produces judgment against other people, then stop that thought. Take that thought captive. Don't allow it to have a place in your head. And as you do that, you'll find that you're sowing good seeds of thoughts and understandings into your spirit. And as that happens, you'll grow and you'll bear fruit in every season. That's the goal.